The thing that they do not understand is that they're on borrowed time. And while I think some of them are aware that they are, and they're trying to figure out, what different pathways could we go down. Your story, in so many ways, mirrors a story that we have been covering for a long time. And I am going to call an audible here on the channel in terms of a story that I think we need to cover, because this is something that has been coming to this was at the forefront today, as it has been for the past few days, as I am sure you are aware of, and Jen, you are probably aware of as well. They are coming so hard at Francesca Albanese right now to basically to bury her 6 feet deep, because that's what they're trying to do. There have been calls from Germany, France, and even Italy to basically silence this woman. And credit
the EU is so pathetic. Can I just say that? They're so weak and pathetic. We're a disgusting empire. They're like our weak and pathetic toadies. Ugh.
Oh, indeed. And so as it turns out, Amnesty International, to their credit, comes out and says global European states must retract outrageous attacks against UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese. Reacting to calls by ministers and officials in France and Czechia for Francesca Albanese, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territory occupied since 1948, to resign, Amnesty International's Secretary General Agnes Callamard said it is reprehensible that ministers in Austria, Czechia, France, Germany, and Italy, where Francesca's from, have attacked the UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory based on a deliberately truncated video to misrepresent and gravely misconstrue her messages, as is clear from watching her original address in its entirety. The ministers have spread disinformation, must act beyond merely deleting their comments on social media, as some have done. They must publicly apologize and retract any calls for Francesca's resignation. Their governments must also investigate how disinformation happened with a view to preventing such situations. If only these ministers had been as loud and forceful in confronting a state committing genocide, unlawful occupation, and apartheid as they have in attacking a UN expert. Their cowardice and refusal to hold Israel accountable stand in stark contrast to the Special Rapporteur's unwavering commitment to speaking truth to power. Israeli military operations in the occupied Gaza Strip have continued, killing over 590 Palestinians on paper since October 2025. The estimated death toll of Palestinian victims since October 2023 now stands at 72,000 times 10. Not only does this allow Israel to violate international law with impunity, but it also effectively undermines the integrity of crucial international human rights mechanisms that were adopted to protect us all. Israel is content to drag the entire world down with it on its way out. That's what I see.
Francesca is one of the only, human beings left in the UN. The only people who has morals and a compass. And I don't think people understand this, but her role as Rapporteur is unpaid. It's a volunteer role. She is not paid at all. She's given up her career to do this. And guess what? In a few years, when she, the roles, it's like a revolving door. You're Rapporteur for a certain number of years, and then it becomes a new person. After she's out, she is subject and not protected from the U.S. sanctions. So why would she give up all of this, all of her life and her career to speak out against genocide for nothing, to ruin her life? She is the most noble human being, one of the most noble human beings on the planet. And so I've been raising my voice all this week to stand up for her against these attacks. They made up a fake AI video, and then Israel took that video, went to these foreign ministers, and they said, go and ask for her resignation. And I heard that there were potential criminal investigations against the French minister with the UN. No?
Jen, what have you always said about Israel when they're speaking?
How do you know they're lying? Their lips are moving. Yeah.
This is why this story is so significant. As you alluded to, they shut you down. And if you don't have anybody who's going to back you up, you probably will stay down. But if you have a network of people that support you and want to make sure that your channel stays alive, you coordinate that network and make sure that, hey, we've got to fight together. Over 100 global artists backed Francesca Albanese amid criticism over Gaza remarks. The only thing we can say positively about any of these developments is that at least Francesca's not standing all by herself. She is a revered hero around the globe, and it is imperative that we keep speaking up about why this is so imperative, that we do not lose sight of it, because I do believe that the worse things get, the more they are going to continue to spiral for Israel, the more that the Samson option becomes a more devastating reality as far as what they're going to be willing to do. Honestly, I don't think anything's off the table as far as they're concerned. That's my opinion.
I agree.
No, these are psychopathic people. They don't, I mean, they're delusional. It's like this mass delusion, like a cult mentality. And they're psychopathic. And they are absolutely willing to take everybody out with them. They are. That's what's concerning. That's the sort of what we can't predict. You know, that's the unaccounted for psychosis right there, is what is that freak show going to do over there with that?
My opinion's that if we ever got to the precipice of cutting off military funding in our partnership and our defense of Israel in a meaningful way, they would launch nukes.
That's
against us. Against us.
Against us.
Against us. We are not their allies. We are useful, as they call us, we are their useful idiots. They will not hesitate to attack us if it's in their benefit. That's the whole point.
Well, we've had 3 USS Liberty survivors on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
So we are under no delusion that Israel doesn't attack the United States. They are not our friend. They are not our friend. They're a parasite. But unfortunately, it's worked its way into the gray matter of our host. And so now it is sort of like that's what's pulling the strings, but that's what they are. It's like
I think that like there was a point where the US empire saw it beneficial to have this relationship with Israel, and we let it go too far. We let it go, unchecked lobbying, and now we're stuck in this position in a way. You know, our Congress is stuck with a supermajority of people paid to be there to fund Israel and give them whatever they want. We're stuck. We fucked ourselves over by letting them exist without safeguards and guidelines. Like, no matter, like, it's not in the interest of the American empire anymore. Like, that's the thing.
No, hasn't been in a long time.
Empire. It hasn't been. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're going to get into it a little later on this evening, but, you know, even something as obvious as LeBron James talking about Israel, and then you think about the fact that Steph Curry is an investor in Israel's military, and apparently Kevin Durant is as well. You're talking about the 3 biggest NBA stars over the past decade plus that are involved in this. I mean, this thing goes deep.
40% of, you know, team owners in the NBA are Jewish Zionists. 40%. It's insane. And I just made a video about this, so I'll throw a little bit of, if you haven't covered this already.
Yeah.
But you know, I've been waiting for this backlash for like 3 years. You know, I'm someone who wore you know, Kyrie's as a kid. Now he's been absolutely amazing. Shout out Kyrie. Like on Kyrie Irving on Palestine, you know, the whole entire time stood on business. In fact, he's calling on people to even go to the Capitol this summer. I just saw, but like he's like an activist now, and it's really inspiring for me as someone who has given up and sacrificed for you know, humanity, to see him do the same thing. You know, that's what tells us he's a real human being, unlike these genocide profiteers, the owners of the league. You know, these NBA players who they don't even need the money is the thing. You think Steph Curry, you think LeBron needs any more money?
Well, the one thing you have to remember is that the thing that a lot of people value, and again, it's cliche because it's one of the 7 deadly sins, but a lot of people value vanity. Vanity is very important to a lot of people. Sometimes being invited to that exclusive party is more important than actually having the money to afford to be able to go to them. To get that call, oh, we're having this special after party. You want to come? Let me tell you, I was driving on the causeway in Miami one night back when I lived in South Florida. And I'm driving along the causeway across from Star Island, and I know where Diddy's house was, and I could see that there was a party going on. This is at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was like a red light party. And you see this from the causeway when you're driving, you think, oh my God, it's a Diddy, blah, 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 blah. And for a lot of people, they're enamored with the concept of being in that world. And the thing that's so interesting about being in that world, as many people are starting to realize, is that if you get in there, you have certain rules that you have to abide by in order to stay in it. And if you break any of those rules, you're out, and you're out for good. And even if you make pilgrimage, as some others have, then you just basically become their cuck in so many ways. That's why I always revert back to somebody like Elon Musk. Elon is not a Zionist. He's playing the role, because right after October 7th happened, he said some very favorable things about Palestinians, and boy, did he get his mind right very quickly. They dragged his ass out to the wall, made him lick it with Ben Shapiro standing next to him.
That's twice.
Oh, God. Yeah, he said like he would want to give Starlink access to the humanitarians in Gaza. And Netanyahu told him, we're going to shoot your satellites out of the sky.